right, Shaking Hands with Strangers, episode 6, Ahead of the Curve. This one's going to be very fun. I have with us Sam, and how are you doing today, Sam?
I'm doing good, thank you.
Thank you so much for agreeing to come on. That's so awesome.
You're very welcome. Thank you for having me.
Yes, I love this picture that we have. We're going to get into some of the stories from it, and it's just great. I love that. So that's you right there at the London protest.
Yeah, that's me protesting
Yes.
about all this nonsense.
I can't wait to get into your whole story. I wanted to include a Baldini rant here. Baldini joined the Globebusters team recently, and he was on, and he gave a little rant that I want to share a clip of. He gave me permission, so we'll do that now, and then we'll get into your story.
Cool.
This is true for most of us who have come to this side of things. Is part of the problem lies in not thinking to ask the right questions. When I first came to this idea of what I term geometric agnosticism, I was really angry with myself that I'd never thought to ask these questions. Right? Because the answers are so obvious. As soon as you begin pushing on this house of cards, it falls over pretty quickly. And the only reason you would dig in, right, is that you simply can't handle the truth, I guess, right? I mean, I think just about anybody who's taken a look at this that has, the temerity, right, and intellectual honesty to dig truth, no matter where it leads, has to come to the conclusion that what we've been told is a lie. It's difficult to come to the truth, and I often say that sometimes the truth movement or the truth community is kind of a misnomer. We don't often know because the dearth of information, hat tip to David Weiss. That we have this sort of data anemia, right? There's a lot that's been held from us, occulted or destroyed, and they've done a great job of it. So it's difficult often to tell what the truth is, but we certainly can attack the things that they tell us and demonstrate them to be, falsifiable and therefore not true.
All right. So I'm going to start off with, I got to give a little bit of background because we had David Leonard on earlier, and in that episode, I believe we talked about how I came to meet you. But so David Leonard was on Baldini's podcast. I listened to Baldini and got to know David Leonard a little bit, conversing with him. He put his contact information out there, which was awesome. And I got in touch with him, and he said, I do have family that is sometimes in Minnesota. So, yeah, and then you were traveling at the time.
Yeah.
I wonder if when I first was talking to David, you were in Mexico, right? Probably?
Possibly, yeah. I'm not sure. The thing is with Mexico is when you're down there, especially where we're going very remote, is you don't have any service on your phone or anything. So we go off grid for long periods of time. We build our vehicles to go off grid for long periods of time. So yeah, I don't know when it actually happened, but certainly when Dave talked about you, we were down in Florida. And
okay.
I think it was Florida, and I kind of responded to you and said, yeah, when we get back, we'll meet up.
Okay. Yeah. So then I got to know you and a little bit of your story, which is just so awesome. I would love it if you would be able to start from, maybe give a little bit of your history, background of where you grew up and lived and how your early childhood was. But yeah, I'm really curious about some of the stuff that changed your direction in your life too.
Yeah. Okay. I'm from the UK originally, now living in Minnesota with my wife. Although I must say, with the caveat that we live in Minnesota for 6 months of the year, and then 6 months of the year we do try to travel, and typically down south, I spent one winter in Minnesota. It can be pretty brutal.
I was going to say, that's really smart.
Yeah, did it that one time. Yeah.
I can tell what time of the year you're not here just by hearing that story, right? You're
like
not here in the winter.
I said to my wife,
that's no good.
Do you get used to this? She said, no, you never get used to this. And then she said, just find the beauty in it, otherwise the winters here will break you. You have to find the beauty in it. And it is beautiful, and there's something it's extreme, but I was up for kind of heading south after that. Yeah, so but from UK originally, from Brighton, which is about an hour south of London, and I grew up in like on the coast of England, and pretty normal upbringing. Like dad was maybe a bit of a nut, but Otherwise,
Well, in what way?
Probably not very well, like mentally not very
Okay.
well. Probably like a bipolar, I guess,
Okay, yeah.
type character. So but also was kind of out there.
Yeah.
Was probably ahead. Probably I don't speak to him much, but he probably is not going for any of this, I would imagine.
It's so funny how some of the people who are, when we named this ahead of the curve, are ahead of the curve, and some of those same people also have some mental health struggles.
Yeah.
But I think it's like hand in hand somehow.
Yeah. Well, I think I agree. I think once you wake up to it and it's so obvious, you look back on people who might have been wacky characters in your life and think, oh, had they just tapped into something, like the truth, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, who knows? But so and then met a girl when I was like 18, and we kind of like childhood sweethearts, and spent the next 10 years together. And like during that time, I didn't go to university, and like I got a job as like a cashier in a bank, like very much like the lower rung of a ladder. Very not me, but I needed to get out of living living at home. My dad was still there, and it was difficult. And it was a big thing to ask the family not to have him over. So, it was logical for me to move out. And I had a girlfriend very young. So I got a job in a bank, and they spotted something in me, I guess, because they basically took me on, and I did like a apprenticeship type thing, and went through like a Barclays University, and ended up in quite a high position in London in as a corporate finance banker. So basically lending money to large corporations or larger businesses, normally for like mergers and acquisitions and stuff like that. And it was just brutal. It took its toll on me, and it wore me down, especially when I started working in London. It was like a 2-hour commute there, 2-hour commute back. So 4 hours a day commuting, and like seeing a lot of clients spread out all over London. And it was stressful, and I pushed my body to a point at which my body wouldn't be pushed anymore. So I kind of like realized I was probably very unhealthy, and my company, I'd lost a lot of weight, but still unhealthy. And my company had paid for me to have like a medical. Everyone had it. It was an option you could pick. And I was never did one before. Like 13 years corporate finance, I never thought to have a medical checkup. And I went and saw a doctor, and they do like an amber, green, red, and I was pretty much red and amber in everything. In fact, the only thing I was green in is like a huge lung capacity.
Yeah.
They were saying like I could like my lungs, when I breathed in that test, they said I would pass the breathing in test, so that was good. But everything else was red and amber, like high blood pressure and all sorts. And so then the doctors decided, and I also with this sweated excessively, especially in situations where I was nervous, which was a lot because I was working with boards of directors for companies and going to very high level networking events. So, I was always nervous, always sweating, like came up with some neat tricks for combating sweatiness. And then I went to the doctor, and they wanted to give me Botox injections under my arms and in my forehead, stop me sweating. And they wanted to give me, things to keep me awake. I was insomniac, so they wanted to give me sleeping pills, and I was anxious. They wanted to give me Valium, and so I walked out there with a big bag of drugs and realised that something was up in this story. And so I sold it all, and sold my house, and quit my job, and liquidated everything down to a backpack, and hit the road and started travelling. And that was in 2016.
Wow.
Yeah. And I haven't been home since, really. I've continued travelling. It's started something, and that was a big change in direction. I went from a corporate man living a life that I didn't want, and didn't suit my character, quite honestly, to then just following like my gut.
Well, it's so amazing because so many people want to do that.
Yeah.
And it sounds so awesome. I can't get there myself. I can't get to a place like that, but
yeah, a lot of people
it sounds awesome.
say to me, "Oh, it sounds awesome. I wish I could do that." And it's like, yeah, you could do that.
Yeah.
But you are opting to live often a slightly more uncomfortable life, freeing but uncomfortable. You lose a lot of luxuries, and there's a lot of uncertainty in your lifestyle. And so, you take the rough with the smooth. It suits me and my character, and it's not for everyone, because to go against mainstream, as we've all learned, is a difficult thing to do. And in not working a 9 to 5, you are going against mainstream to a point.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean,
And you're
I
giving
travel
up
a
all
lot.
the insurance and all the.
Yeah, like I don't have health insurance. No, nothing silly like that. That's a luxury us immigrants can ill afford in America, unless you're going to join the rat race, you know. And I'm not prepared to.
Yeah, it's smart of you to travel during the winter time too. That's so great away from.
Plus, ironically, if you travel to Mexico for the winter,
Yeah.
I can actually afford insurance.
Right.
So I can actually have a doctor come.
Yeah.
You know, oh, I've cut my finger off. A
Yeah.
doctor will look after me in Mexico because I can afford the insurance.
Oh.
Unfortunately, here it's out of my price range.
That's amazing.
I know.
So you had a really weird experience during the whole pandemic, because you were out of the United States. You were in Mexico, right?
Yeah.
When it all so that was when did you get to Mexico?
So we were in Mexico for we kept dropping south, right,
Yeah.
from Minnesota, and then we were in Utah, and then it started snowing, and we just kept
keep running from
and
the
we just
winter.
keep moving south, and really that was very in tune with the weather
Yeah.
and the season. And as it got colder, it pushed us south, and it pushed us into Mexico, and specifically Baja California.
Yeah.
So we went down that side, and it's a peninsula, so you can't go any further than the end unless you get a ferry. And so, when we were in a converted school bus, so. Quite a gassy vehicle, in Mexico the gas was expensive. It was like $5 a gallon or something, so it got expensive. So we would just stay in parts of very, very remote beachside that was very beautiful, and really no one was around, but you didn't have any amenities or anything like that. You pack in, pack out, and we have solar panels, so we're off grid ready.
Yeah.
But otherwise, yeah. So we weren't really touching base with anyone much, and when we'd go into town, there was no indication that coronavirus was a thing. I mean, no one was even talking about it. I was completely oblivious, apart from one conversation I had with my mum when I did get Wi-Fi, where she said, yeah, there's this weird thing going around, everyone's a bit worried about it. And I just kind of was like, yeah, whatever.
Another one of those.
Yeah, I was like, I don't. That's why I travel, so I don't have to worry
Yeah.
myself with the news. And then when we crossed back over into America,
What month is this when you cross back?
this is Sarah's department,
I know.
my wife's department in working out dates, but this would have been like March of 2020, March, April 2020 maybe.
Okay, that was
More
right
like
after.
April.
Yep, that was
Yeah,
right
it was kind of right after.
started.
It was right at the beginning. It kind of hit. We
Yeah.
missed the hitting.
Yeah.
And so it was a bit like an apocalypse movie, where something's already happened, but you don't know what, and you're trying to figure it out. Like the audience trying to figure out what's going on. Why is everything weird? Yeah,
it must have been so weird.
And it was odd, and we took our vehicle to a mechanic to just get an oil change and stuff, because we sell our vehicles at the end of our traveling, so we keep them in really good condition. So we having an oil change, and we were hanging out, and then the guy said, "Oh, what about this car?" It was a rental car, and he said, well, because of COVID, leave it in the sun and let the sun try and kill all the germs. And I'm sitting there thinking, what did he just say? He just said something about COVID and killing all the germs and leave it in the sun. And and then as we continued up, we realised something was going on. Then they started shutting things like national forests down and national parks, and in Oregon, the entire coast. So we were on the coast.
Yeah.
And we were just chilling out on the coast, and then suddenly someone knocked on the door and said, yeah, the coast is closed. You can't be here.
We closed the world.
We're closed. Sorry. And I was like, well, okay, where do I go? And he was like, that's your problem, Buster. So I was like, okay. So then we left, and we found a little logging road. It was again in Oregon, quite a remote part of Oregon, but just off the coast. And we went about 10 miles down this logging road, and then we pulled off into a little bit in a forested area. It was national park. No, it was it was a national forest, so you can stay there legally for free up to it's public land. So it's cool. We're on public land, and we're there, and then we just think this is weird. It was all too weird for us, the COVID thing. So we just kind of went and hid in the woods. And just, we're the whole time I'm talking to my brother in Madrid, and he's
God.
yeah, they're shutting down Madrid. There's drones in the street telling people to go home. If you want to buy something, you have, if you want to leave the house, you have to leave the house to buy something, or go to a hospital. And so you have to have, and the police stop you, and he did get stopped multiple times. He had to have a receipt, to show he had been to a supermarket. So he's telling me stories like that. My family are telling me stories about England, and I'm hearing the coast is shut down. So we just hide in the woods, and so then we just have a whiskey and play Scrabble and sit in the woods and talk about it, which is our style, right? So we're there for about 3 days, and there's a knock on the door. First person we've come across in 3 days. There's a knock at the door. Open it. It's park ranger. This is closed. This is all closed. I said, why? And he said, you've got to go home and self-isolate. I'm like, we're in the middle of nowhere. If this isn't self-isolation, I don't know what it is. And he made us move. And I said, where do I go? And he said, I don't know, Walmart? So you moved me out the woods, public land, to
go to Walmart, because that's safer during...
Yeah, so the whole time, like, I'll be honest, I never was really even this... I knew it was nonsense.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I went that way. But... yeah, and then I guess another big event for me was Dave, who you talked about at the beginning. He I guess had already premised this was all going to happen, so I wasn't surprised when it happened.
Yeah, I kind of felt that way with I listen to a lot of truthers, and I kind of had one foot in both worlds, and when all this stuff started to happen, it was like, oh no, they're right.
Yeah.
They were way right, and they just nobody really knew exactly when, but they were all spot on.
Like I knew things. I knew, I just hadn't put all the pieces together, or I knew it all, but I couldn't see it, which is why I can see what's going on right now, because I've been someone who has been asleep, working really hard, corporate job. Things are important to me, like a nice suit and a watch and an apartment, and it's like, and dating, and after care of a breakup, and it was just kind of like I was really trying to fit the lifestyle I had and embrace it fully, and I had lots of money to go with it. It just didn't fit, I could see something was not quite right in the world, I think, is what I'm trying to say, and when Dave initially sort of sat me down and talked to me about what was happening around me, I was really upset. I'd come back to visit. I was really upset about Donald Trump, and I just really got my, that guy really got it, being my grill. And so I was kind of like, and I was telling him about it, and he said, I'll be honest with you, Sam, I'm going to tell you a truth. The guy's just an actor, and none of it's real, and they're trying to take your energy from you. Yeah. And I thought maybe, Dave's maybe, where's he coming from here? It was a curveball. I wasn't really expecting it. Yeah. But we'd already talked about chemtrails and things, and he basically painted a picture for me of a reality that I couldn't comprehend, but in my heart knew existed. And he said, and in the next 12 months or something's going to happen, and it's going to divide everyone, and you wait and see. And it happened. And I phoned him, and I couldn't even believe it. And I said, how did you know this? And he said, right, you ready to listen to more? And I said, yeah. And he said, okay, then this is really what I think is going on, and go research it for yourself. And I did. And, a bit like Baldini said earlier, once you pull a thread, nothing was solid.
Yeah.
Nothing was solid anymore. Everything every time you pulled it, it fell and collapsed, and you could pull a thread out. But it was like, what? Nothing's real. What's real then?
Yeah, the in-your-face nature of it. After a while, you really start to you just see it differently. It's the eyes to see thing that people talk about, and wow, yeah. So it was cool because you have that perspective from being over in the UK, and then coming here in Mexico and coming back, and also different parts of the US. I remember asking you about the chemtrails, because I thought, they're pretty bad here. Yeah. I figure they're pretty much like this everywhere else, and you're like, no, they're not as bad here.
Yeah, no, they're definitely not as bad here. I mean, they're bad.
Yeah.
But it's not 24/7 spraying like it is in other places of the world I've been to. The UK gets sprayed heavily, densely, highly densely populated areas are getting sprayed in the UK. My brother experienced it when he was living in Madrid. So he would report on it and video it, and so it started to unravel, and I guess in Minnesota I had noticed it, but I wasn't offended by it, and I don't know what changed. But when I was in Florida and down that part of the world and down by the Carolinas, I was truly offended by the sight of what they were getting away with. I mean, spraying 24/7 in patterns and drawing patterns in the sky, like crisscrosses and stuff. They're not even trying to hide it. They don't have to, I guess, So, but traveling around, I've seen a lot of the US. Mostly, that's been since all this craziness has occurred in the world, and so with all the lockdowns and stuff, we've had an anti-lockdown movement in my household. You know, my wife and I, we travelled all through it. Yeah. Which you know, I have two schools of thought on it. I'm very, very grateful that we got that experience. And I guess the name of the show, I said, a friend of mine said, yeah, we're just riding the curve, man. Everything was all about riding the national health care system in the UK, you know. And here, the just general hospital, everyone talked about riding the curve. And my mate said to me, I was living in our bus in Oregon up on a mountain, and we were just chilling out there. And he said, yeah, you were ahead of the curve. And I think I was ahead of the curve, but it was more by luck than judgment, I thought. And now I think maybe it was someone, you know, faith. I found my faith through all of this. And that's been a huge part of it for me. That question I asked myself, like, is anything real? You know, it's like, yeah, I think God is real. And I think that it's been like withheld from us. And the more I've looked into it, and the more I've tried to rationalize what's going on in the world, I keep coming back to this concept that there must be a creator. It's just got to be.
Yeah, I mean, I would say Baldini and David both have been big proponents for me they just are, you know, I know neither of them want to be pushing me in any direction, right?
No.
But they still somehow, just, I think through witnessing them, strengthen my desire to want to have a relationship with the higher power, you know?
Yeah.
And whatever that is for me. And I love that they both would direct you not to themselves, not to an organization, not to a person, they would direct you straight to the source, you know?
Yeah, they encourage, you know, straight like Dave's encouraged me. So the thing is Dave and my sister, and their husband and wife, they talk to me about their faith. And the thing is it took me by surprise. It actually knocked the wind out of me when I heard my sister say that she was following Christ.
Yeah.
I didn't even know what to make of it.
Yeah.
It actually, I guess now you'd call it cognitive dissonance, but I guess there was a part of me that just couldn't even believe what I was hearing. And these truly are crazy times, I was thinking, you know, with all this going on and now this. And then I thought about it, and I couldn't shake it, and I just kept going on and on in my head. And then I spoke to Dave, and the thing is I took Dave very seriously, and I do take Dave very seriously. I've known him forever. He met my sister when I was very young, but he is just one of the most sincerely genuine, loving people I've ever met in my life. He's inspiring.
Oh yeah.
And I've appreciated Dave more and more as I've got older, and sadly, as I've been living out of the US, out of the UK and living in the US, I miss him and his friendship, because he's exactly what I need, you know. So I took what he said seriously, and he talked to me about God, and he led me down a path, and he encouraged me to read the Bible and to pray, and to almost leave it at that. And you know, I had no faith whatsoever before, but now when I reflect on my life, man, was he looking out for me? Because he saw potential, and and I heard the calling, kind of thing. So it's been like the solid foundation through all of this for me.
And some of the things for me, I feel like I had to be smacked in the face, you know. But meeting Swanee, and all those coincidences and things, I'm like, okay.
Yeah, and I don't believe in coincidences. I think it was all fated. I really do. I think it happened the way it was supposed to happen, you know. And there are more of us, I think, than we realise, and it's about connecting us in some possible way. I had you've got pictures of the protests.
I want to talk about this. You have the best pictures. So
yeah, I have to give probably most of the credit to my brother who took these pictures, but I took some as well. And there were just too many good signs to send you. It was epic.
Yes.
And I will say, so I attended this protest, right? And this was when I went back to visit last year, during the height of it all, the summer of the height of it all. And this protest here was attended by 100,000 people, and I was there, and I can testify to that. It was incredible. And now the protest has grown to close to 1 million, and they're going regularly on Saturdays, and the media isn't reporting it whatsoever. There's no report. In fact, there's just no knowledge of it. And like my wife's parents, they wouldn't know about it if I wasn't showing them these pictures.
Yeah.
And she went looking for it and she couldn't find it. You know, you can't find it through through the mainstream channels.
Yeah, the only way that I've seen a lot of coverage of these protests is to see it through Telegram when David sends it to me.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, this is the thing, and I follow a lot of UK truthers, and so they are exposing.
You gotta send me some of those.
I'll have to send you some, because they're exposing what's going on in the UK, and you know, there is a lot of people in the UK. Because if you think there's 1 million people attending, and let's say that's maybe on the higher end, so let's even say it's 750,000. That's a lot of people that got up and went. And I know from protests I've attended that what they're doing over there is they're stopping public transport and stuff, you know, and so they're making it difficult for people to go, and they're deterring people, and they're probably making it rain. And so, you know, and so I think that if 750,000 people attended, how many people wanted to be there on that day? You know, and this picture you've got up here is a good example of that. You know, I've seen a lot of similarities between what's happening in the US and what's happening in the UK, but I've also seen it rolled out very differently. Yeah. You know, and in the UK, not many people were wearing masks, not many people were overly concerned, you know, about it, or enough to cover their own face through their own free will. But the government said, like, on Friday, as of this time, it is going to be, you know, punishable by fine if you don't wear a mask. And overnight, it went probably from, like, most people not wearing it to 99% of people wearing them. And so this here is why.
Yeah,
you know?
that's pretty. That's pretty hefty there.
Yeah, I mean that's like over $4,000, you know, for not wearing your face covering, and that's just outside a train station. You know, so you've got to be brave not to wear a face covering. But what they did do in the UK, which was very interesting. So then on the one side, you think in the US, well, at least we don't have to contend with being fined for not wearing your face mask out in the streets.
Yeah, you just get beat up.
Yeah, but here they use social blackmail. You know, I've barely worn a mask through this whole thing, and I've been like, you know, I've been called names. Mm-hmm. You know, my wife's been called names. It's been like, sometimes they really do like try and beat you up. But for every bad experience I've had 10 really good ones where I've had someone come up to me and thank me for being courageous and saying, I wish I could not wear it. Then they always say, oh, you're English then. Okay, well, that makes sense. Or you're a man. But the reality is me and Sarah are having more positive experiences not wearing masks than having negative experiences. But, you know, we can't afford the fine that they're dishing out in the UK.
That's crazy.
Not that they're lawful, and that still wouldn't deter me. When I went back to the UK, I didn't wear a mask. But what they do in the UK is you can self-certify yourself as exempt from wearing one. Yeah, so, I mean, that's pretty mad, isn't it? I've been using that as my excuse as well. When I go into shops and someone stops me, so you can't come in, I go, I'm exempt. Yeah. Like that. And it works. Yeah. Because no one really knows what you're talking about. But I've also had people say that doesn't exist, or no, we can't. You can't have that here, and I've gone, oh, okay, well, I guess I'll leave then, you know, and then just I make sure that they're accountable for it. I say, so I can't come in, I have to leave, do I? And then, you know, and then I look them in the eye with a big smile, and they go, yeah, you do. And I go, all right, thanks anyway. Have a nice day. Yeah, God bless you.
Bless you.
Yeah, so you're kind of like, you mosey on out. Yeah. But in the UK, you just say, basically the government definition of it, and it's on their website, is anything that causes you distress. You know, and how many people are distressed? Clearly. From wearing a mask?
I don't know who isn't. Like,
it's distressing.
So pretty much most of the masks are gone here now, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But we drove downtown recently, and we saw a woman beautiful sundress, right? Yeah. N95 and a visor, and you're like, what the f-?
Really protected. I know, it's madness. It's crazy. But what I'm liking,
just the contrast between the sundress and the N95 and the visor. I wish I could have gotten a picture, but
and shown her it and gone, this is what you look like right now. Yeah. Does that look normal? I mean, truly, these are. I don't want to harp on about it, but I read the New Testament. So Dave recommended I read the New Testament, as did my sister, and I read it all the way through, and it's incredible. It's like, how did they know? you know, and the more I read about it. But it really does feel like, you know, an upside down world right now. It does feel like good is bad and bad is good.
Yeah.
You know, but
They've
people
inverted
don't.
everything.
Yeah, people don't seem to see it. You know, that lovely lady in a nice fabulous dress.
Yeah.
You know, but with a mask and visor. What a shame.
So sexy.
Yeah, bless her. Like, I feel sorry because what she is she's really, really scared. They've done a really good job of scaring her, and that's awful, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, what? Yeah, but now I like here. Sarah and I went for a bike ride yesterday, and we stumbled across in Minnehaha Park a little like craft fair, arts and crafts fair, but huge and very well attended. And no one was wearing masks, you know, and the odd person that did looked like the you know, like sucked the life out the room.
Yeah.
And I like that, you know. I walked around with that feeling like this is good. And I don't know what that means, but I know back home, unfortunately, you know, I'm talking to my family and they're still wearing them in the shops and stuff like that. So it's, but how, you know, it's like they're just given demands differently, you know, and
yeah. We'll have to let you know how it goes with the work thing. They told me that I have to now come back, but they're still forcing the masks, so I meet with HR next week and figure that out.
So I mean, it will be interesting to see.
Find out if I have a job. Some of these pictures at the end here, I think you can get a good feel for how many people were there.
Now this picture here is interesting.
Look at that.
This one here, right? So this was a very, very peaceful protest, and you know, and I'm there, and it's a festival vibe. I will say, it felt very much like a festival. It felt like a group of people that were on the same wavelength and had just the most fantastic energy, and it was just like felt lovely. There were people giving hugs. It was really nice. And then out of the blue, like, I don't know how many there were, 100 police, maybe 100 police officers in like colour-coded hats and masks and batons just came running down the street, smashed straight through the crowd, hitting people with these, their batons and spraying people and like terrible, changed the vibe completely. Lots of people just tried to sit on the floor, they got kicked in the head and stuff like that. And they stormed the stage. They'd had David Icke had done a talk, and then they'd brought this German doctor over, and he's the doctor that represents like the Doctors Alliance, like I don't know, thousands of doctors all over Europe that are all joining together. A lot anonymous, but some not. All in agreement that something's up, you know. And he represents them, and he was coming to London. They'd flown him in to do a talk. Before he could speak, they bashed him over the head and put him in the back of a police wagon. And then he said later that they just took him to the airport and deported him. And he wasn't able to do his talk. But they were incredibly violent, you know, and it was such a shame. But it was amazing. As soon as they stepped aside, everyone just banded back together and carried on with the protest. And the vibe went back to lovely again. So they didn't take any of our spirit away from us, and they tried.
But what they did was they tried to take the credibility away, right?
They did, yeah.
Because they let David Icke talk because, okay...
Yeah, because there's a
he's out
connotation
there, right?
with him. Yeah, exactly. It's easy to find, like, you know, negative dirt on him. Yeah. But this doctor...
legit doctor probably had no dirt on him, and they were like, we can't let this happen.
No, absolutely not. But, you know, like...
let's just bag him and
exactly.
throw him on a plane.
Yeah. But, you know, when you cut off a man's tongue to silence him, you know, all you're really doing is hiding his truth. And the thing is that's like obvious, you know. And so I do think they're kind of just... They're digging a bit of a hole for themselves. You know, this many people went there. They didn't televise this event, and now it's nearly 10 times bigger than that day there. It's huge. It's grown.
Many people.
So they're not stopping people from going.
No, I've seen some of the drone footage from above these protests where you just see, and they'll like storm the BBC, and the BBC won't talk. No.
Yeah. You know, and these are we're living in days where in the past you had to rely on the media helicopters flying above to report it. You know, but they're not reporting it aerial footage. But people just fly a drone up there now and take the same footage. You know, it's getting same with cameras. You know, it's making it harder and harder to conceal the truth.
Yeah, that's a lot of people to hide.
Yeah, it is a lot of people to hide. Yeah. Yeah, but they manage. You know, they hide it from other countries, and living in two countries, I see things from two different perspectives, and I can confirm neither make any sense.
It's poppycock.
It's totally poppycock. Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, it was a great day, and my brothers keep going, and I'm quite envious. you know, because you often find yourself very much alone in a crowd nowadays, you know, so to be amongst that many people and everyone, you know, and just be able to turn to anyone and they give you a big smile and we're all vibing off the same thing. It's a powerful thing. I can see why they want to keep people apart, you know. You know, in the UK, some crazy things like more than 6 people is breaking the law, so you can't go into groups of more than 6. So, for example, my sister and Dave, and they have 3 children. So if the 5 of them want to go to the park and my mum wants to join them, that's the 6. They're at their limit, right? So no uncles allowed at this party because you're breaking the law. Then, you know.
Do they still doing that with funerals and stuff too?
Yeah. You're still in the UK, at least till very recently. I think it's still the same thing. You couldn't even go into the same room as your partner when they're giving birth. I know. It's madness. I know. It
might be a good thing.
Yeah, I guess. But you know, if you robbed me of that experience, then you know, it better be for more than a flu.
For me, I think the experience of being around your family member when they pass, I've done it a couple of times, and being physically there and with them shouldn't be taken away from anybody. That's not something that anybody should have taken from them.
Or minimally, it should be a choice.
Yes.
I mean, minimally.
If you know, if your grandma's dying of the vid, you know, it's just, and you want to see her and you don't care because you love your grandma and that's it. Who's to decide that you can't go see her? Yeah,
I mean, there's no humanity in any of it.
In the past, if she was dying from pneumonia, would they say you can't go see her? You can get pneumonia.
Absolutely, yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I've stopped trying to make sense of any of it.
Yeah.
Because it really is the best. You know, I worked for a bank for years, and a lot of what I did was like investigative stuff. You know, because we're lending large sums of money, so I'm looking at their accounts and I'm taking them apart, and I'm also looking at their reputation and how, you know, stories about them and things like that. And you know, it's kind of like the more I've looked into all of this and tried to make sense of it, there is no sense in it, but it does all have a common theme, and that is to turn everything a bit upside down, you know, and the use of fear has been so incredible in effective as a tool, as a weapon against us. Weaponizing science and healthcare, you know, is genius. I work for the bank, and you know, I'm dealing with people's money and their finances, and people get pretty passionate about their finances.
Yeah.
You know, especially when they've got a business and they're running it through a recession and they've got people to pay and families to support. You know, so people get very, very passionate about their business. But you talk about healthcare as a whole nother level, you know, so we're very vulnerable. They do have us by the short and curlies. I don't have healthcare and I don't live in fear. But what I would like is the option to go to A&E and have a finger sewn back on. You know, I work with power tools and stuff. It's not ideal. You know, it's made me a very present person.
Yeah.
You know, I'm very present when I'm working with these things because I cannot afford.
Yeah.
You know, I cannot afford to. Like Sarah yesterday, we went for a bike ride and she put her hands in the air. You know, and she was going no-handed, and I was like, "Put your hands down." You know, that's a calculated risk we can't take. Talk to my brothers. They've fallen off because they put their hands in the air like that. You should grab the handlebar. And she's like, sorry.
Oh, cute.
You know, and it's like, I feel bad about it because she's just trying to have maximum fun. But it's like, we really need you to sand down a bus tomorrow. You know, we need those wrists. But actually, like the healthcare side of it, it's all of this has meant not having healthcare has meant I'm taking better care of myself.
Yeah.
You know, and across the board as well. It's like before I used to just maybe take care of my body, you know, but like I want to be spiritually fit, and you know, and you get that from prayer, and you get that from reading the God's word, you know. And for me, I mean, there's many versions for many people, so I don't want to push that on anyone. But for me, that's how like I'm staying spiritually fit. You know, and like I really am trying to like listen to myself, and I have faith. I bet you my blood pressure now is way lower.
So I'm not great. I'll strike that. I'm terrible at trying to read the Bible.
Yeah.
Just terrible at it. I just can't. I've tried to go at it from different angles and I just have such a hard time. So I want to ask you this. Do you feel like it really like makes a big difference?
Yeah, for me, yeah.
For you.
For me, it's made a huge difference. I'll tell you about the Bible I'm reading, right? Because the thing is, I'm not doing any of this conventionally, and I'm someone who couldn't have told you the difference between religion and faith.
Yeah.
You know, I don't come from a particularly religious country. You know, here, very much of politics is driven by religion, and in some, you know, on the conservative side, you know, and it's to demonize it all. But the thing is, in the UK, our politics isn't linked to religion. We're just not particularly religious. I mean, I guess our king changed the religion because he wanted to divorce his wife. You know, that's why he came up with the Church of England. You know, he's like, I have to switch faith. You know, so he kind of created the Church of England. I don't know if that invalidates it at all. It does in my mind. But, you know, I couldn't have told you the difference between it. And I think that I needed spiritual guidance. And I think that you could say the Bible is a bit of a self-help book, minimally, you know. And so for me, it's you know, someone's prepared to read the teachings of, you know, a Buddhist monk who's tapped into Zen, and that's awesome, and I think that's a big part of it as well.
Yeah.
You know, but I think that like the Bible for me is just as relevant a self-help book to try and put you on the right path. And profound things have happened for me when I've read it. But the Bible itself, the one I'm reading, was in the basement of the house I'm living in. I'm living with my wife's parents. We live in their basement, and it's very nice down there, and it's like a little enclosed apartment, but it's got a messy part full of books and stuff. And I kept walking past this Bible, and this was during the riots that were happening in the city. Yep. We literally just got back from our travels as...
That was a tough time.
Yeah, it was a tough time, yeah. All the madness with Floyd, and then all the protests erupting and burning down police stations, and
they really messed up our city.
They really, yeah, exactly. And the whole time I'm researching alongside it, so I'm, you know, and I'm having stuff removed, and I'm having to dig deeper into finding stuff, finding the truth, and I'm thinking it shouldn't be this hard.
Yeah.
You know, I'm finding out Antifa are burning down buildings in Minneapolis, and I'm like, I'm gonna go. I live here. You know, and I haven't got kids, and Sarah had gone down to Florida with her family for a week. I was on my own. I thought, I'm just going to go do some investigative journalism.
Yeah.
So I went down there, and I was talking to people, and they knew totally what was going on down here. They warned me about the Antifa guys, and they were like, why would we burn down our own, like, fried chicken shop? Like, why would we burn down our own stuff? Then I ran into an Antifa person when I was down there. He was a young kid, dressed in like a militant outfit, and he was inside this building that had been burnt down and collapsed, and he said he was looking for a body. And I asked him, you know, I said to him, I took a video of it. I said, so what are you doing in there? He said, I'm looking for a body. It's collapsed. The police don't care, you know. And he was like spinning a story. It just didn't feel right. And I was like, you're Antifa. And they were sitting on top of the building with like racist banners over the side. And it was just like mad experience. And so this all started happening. And as I'm waking up, I guess unconsciously I was waking up now on reflection, but I didn't know what was going on. But I was getting darker and darker and deeper into like a bottomless pit, you know. And I'm very cut off in a lot of ways, because here I have my wife, and we're just like cut from the same cloth, me and her. We're just so in tune with each other. And so I have her, and I can rely on her for a lot of things. But this is a very individual experience we're all going through. You know, when you wake up to the world not being what you thought it was, it's heartbreaking minimally, and it completely will send you off in a different direction. You know, and you hope it's the same path. You know, and so I'm going through this thing, and but otherwise I don't have any friends over here particularly. You know, I'm meeting friends through the truth community like yourself, so it's lovely that you know that it's growing. But for me, I don't have that many people here, and I have my wife's family. But these are radical thoughts, you know, minimally, and I believe they're the truth. So that's, you know, that makes me, I guess, a bit of a radical guy, you know, in the mainstream world. Fortunately, they are also aware that something's up. You know, and then back home, my family is so far away, so I feel a lot of time like I'm completely alone. You know, and so I spend a lot of time on my own. And then I felt really dark and on my own. And Dan said to me, my father-in-law said, you know, like, and he's a faithful man, and he's a recovering alcoholic. And I think to recover from alcohol, you have to at least have an understanding, if not absolute faith, in the idea that there's a power bigger than yourself. And for him, he does, and that's got him to sobriety. And so he said, you know, when the room is most dark, even just the tiniest prick of light can illuminate, you know, and you know, the closer you get to it, the bigger that light gets. You know, there is a door that is ajar somewhere, Sam. Keep opening that door, and you'll be standing in the light. And I was like, whoa, that was profound. And I found myself down in the basement, and I found a Bible, and it was my wife's Bible that she had when she was a kid. So it's like It's the Good News Bible. It's not in Old English. It's probably been doctored and changed, and it's probably not like that close to the original. Is my understanding of the Bible. It's probably been interfered with.
Yeah.
But I pray that the message in it is pure, and I hear the message in it, and it's encouraging me to. And I've just had profound experiences as I've been reading it, relating to my life, troubles with my wife where I felt very separated from her. That's talked me through what to do and how to behave and how to be more forgiving and understanding. And then every time it's yielded positive outcomes. And so, when you tap into something good, you continue to tap into it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So we're going to play a song.
Cool. Yes.
Will you set us up a little bit?
Yeah. So this is, my brother is a musician. He's the one who was locked down in Madrid, and I'm very fortunate. We all woke up at the same time, so I don't have to worry about that with my family, at least my close immediate family. And my brother's a musician, and he's very talented. He goes in all sorts of directions with his music. This one is more like his electronic influences. The UK is really into electronic music. It's a big thing, and I love it as well. So I picked this because I thought, yeah, cool. I'd listen to this. I want to go for a bike ride to this.
Sweet. We'll play this and then we'll come back.
Okay.
All right, that was fun.
Yeah.
Okay, nice break too for us. We want to talk about now what you're doing with buses and how you're living your life, what things are for the future for you. So we're going to share some pictures of your bus too.
Okay, yeah.
Is this one that you did recently, or?
Yeah, this is like, we've done 5 conversions now, and this is our 3rd conversion. So,
That
yeah,
is
basically,
gorgeous.
yeah, they turn out well, and
Look at that.
they're like the little, just yellow American school buses.
It looks so big in there. Is that just how you're taking the picture?
Oh, well, yeah, I'd say this obviously like good photography because you're capturing the space nicely, but it's a fairly big space.
Yeah,
I mean,
I could do that.
Yeah, they measure school buses in window sizes, and this is a 4 window, which is one of the smaller ones you can get. It's about like 22 foot long, so it's perfect because you can fit it in like a standard sized parking bay. It's not too scary to drive. You don't need any kind of special license to drive it.
So you just fix them up, live in them for a while, and then sell and fix up another one. And
when we were back in the UK and like when I met my wife, we only really met for a few days when we were backpacking in Guatemala, and we met each other. But it was very early on in my travels, I wasn't ready to meet anyone, but we definitely had a connection, so we stayed in contact. And then later on, I flew to Minnesota. I didn't even know where Minnesota was. I never even heard of it.
Did you come here to see her?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. No, I didn't. Yeah, no, I didn't come for the winters.
Well, there's other reasons you could have come.
And
but
I will
like,
say,
I didn't know.
and Minnesota is very, very beautiful, but it wouldn't have occurred to me to have come to Minnesota. It kind of would have been like a
So did you come just to visit? What did you?
Just to see, just to explore what that was, you know, because it was nice and it felt right, but it just felt the wrong time. But it just felt like it would have been a shame to have ended that trip and not reflected back on some of the highlights and explored them further. Because I kind of guess I was following my gut and it sent me that way. And so
You seem to have a good gut. I'm going to listen to your gut.
yeah, it felt right. I was like, I'm going to do it. Yeah. And then I ended up working at a circus, circus with her family, like a circus school, but immediately found myself rolling back into like another 9 to 5 job, you know, serious job as well. It was helping manage it, so you know, it was like a more relaxed than the bank, but still a very serious job, and one like a responsibility I took very seriously because it was Sarah's family, you know, and I could see myself going back down an old path. So then you hit that kind of like dilemma, or how do I break out of this, like, for want of a better word, matrix, and start doing it alone, you know, and traveling in like less developed countries like Mexico, for example, or like we've traveled through Turkey and lots of like Eastern Europe. And like the advantage of that is they live very cheaply, so you live very cheaply, but you need a vehicle. And when I was back in the UK, so I met Sarah, and then I went to visit her, and we did a road trip together to Canada, and we really enjoyed it. And then I moved back to the UK, converted a van, and she came and just really not having known each other a very short period of time, came and lived in a van with me for 6 months, and we travelled all around Europe in it. And at the end of it, we decided we wanted to keep going.
Sounds like she followed her gut a little bit too.
And that's how she followed her gut too. Absolutely, she was first to it. She was already living a lifestyle of kind of like following her gut, whereas I was maybe more kind of following the mainstream. And then and then we travelled around. Then we moved to America, hence working for the circus, because it was visa stuff and things like that. But anyway, I'm faced with this problem. How do we make money? You know, we've followed our gut this far, but I can't just stay here, you know, doing something that makes me unhappy, because I was falling into old traps. And so we thought we'll travel. We'll go down, and so we go down to Mexico. And so we started looking to RVs, and they were too expensive, and everything was a bit too expensive. But we kept hearing school buses were cheap, like school buses. And I was like, who would have thought of school buses? Yeah. And our first school bus was $3,000. You know, really cheap, and they look after them well because
they have the regular maintenance.
Yeah, they have the DOT inspections, you know, and they carry precious cargo, being children. And so we bought this bus, and it turned out to be an absolute trooper with a bulletproof engine. It was like, wow, this is great. And we converted it into our first conversion van, and it was a little schoolie, they call it. And it was beautiful. And then we travelled all around in it. And then when we got back, we sold it, and we made quite a lot of profit. And we were like, oh, hang on a minute. That felt a little bit like we just got a one-up there. Yeah. We can go travelling again right now if we want, but instead we converted a second one. this one here, and again, we travelled in it, and at the end of it, we sold it. And with what's going on in the world, people want to escape into nature more than ever before. RV sales have gone through the roof. Airbnb is like crazy. You know, we live in Minnesota here. We went up to try and stay at a cabin up north with the family. You couldn't find one for love nor money. People booked them way out in advance. People want to disappear out of cities. We've all been driven into cities, but I don't think any of us really want to be in them. And so, there's this desperate need to push out. Yeah. And so this bus market just exploded, and there's a lot of people with some money in the bank. And so we realised that we can make money buying these buses and converting them, and we get to live in them for free. And we've done a little van as well, which we're, a little cargo van, which is fun, and we better mileage, and we plan to go down to Mexico in that, back down to Mexico before they bring on the third wave.
We were just talking about that before the podcast of what do you have to do to get in and out of country right now, and nobody's interested from in this house or with the visitor here of getting anything in their nose. So it's just
exactly. I draw the line. I don't mind spitting on something, but I don't want anything up my nose.
But what happens? So here's the thing: what happens if you spit on something and it's positive? What happens now?
Well, I'll still try and get in, obviously. I'll push for it, and we'll see. This is
how about I hand you a 50?
Yeah, no, along those lines. Yeah, I've done that before. I tried to bribe a customs official to get into. Where was it? Somewhere in Europe. It was like I don't know. I can't remember the name of the country, but I was trying to get in there, and then he said no, and then I jumped out of the van and walked around and said, "Hey, like, would this change anything?" He was like, "No, it really wouldn't." I was like, "Whoa, okay, I'm out of here." So yeah, I'm not beyond that. They're playing dirty.
Come back and try somebody else.
Yeah, and they play dirty, so I don't mind playing dirty back. But no, to get into Mexico's sounds pretty easy to just go in, but to get back, you have to have the test, obviously. And this is like in the UK. They haven't got one that you can't shove up your nose. The rest of the world's figured out a spit test, but the UK still wants to shove it up your nose. So it's kind of like that. That's logistically a bit of a headache. But we follow a Facebook page called Awakened Traveller. And the Awakened Traveller page is great because it's people sharing their own personal experiences. Mexico keeps coming up. A lot of British people are going to Mexico.
Okay.
But basically, you just click into the forum and say, has anyone been to, name a country, and everyone will tell you all about it. Yeah. And so that's a really good resource. Not very mainstream, but a resource.
An option,
yeah. Because if you go on the government website and type in, what's Mexico like? They're going to say it's the death capital. They're going to say within 5 minutes you're going to be gang raped and murdered in Mexico, and my experience is that's just not the case. They're very lovely.
Yeah, just people, right?
Just people, yeah.
They want their family, want their life.
Yeah, and then Jesus said, it'd be as difficult for a rich man to get into heaven as to pass through the eye of a needle. Mexico hasn't got an awful lot of money, and so they respect different things, and the thing that they hold most true to themselves is like family. And so to tell them, sorry, you have to stay 6 feet apart from your family, don't hug, whatever you do, is just too much probably to bear, I imagine what's gone down there.
No.
Plus they know their government's corrupt. We just haven't figured it out yet. Not all of us.
Oh, it's been so awesome to have you on. Thank you so much for coming on, and thank you for even coming to any of the events or meeting me, and it's been awesome.
No, I was really pleased to. It's nice not to feel like an abomination sometimes.
I'm really working on that. I'm really working on trying to reach out to people. I've been messaging some people. Just that there was a Minnesota Flat Earth group that I was like, all right, I'm not gonna. It's public. I'm not gonna join this and then have it be on public. So I went in and I looked at everybody that was in there, and I was like, I'm gonna message a bunch of these people and just, hey.
Yeah.
And some of them are excited to meet another person who might have some views that are Abby normal.
Yeah. I think to some people it's a lifeline, I feel very blessed because I realise I'm not alone, right? Yeah. And so I'm not alone in every sense. Spiritually, I know I'm not alone, and therefore I can never really feel truly lost and lonely. Yeah. But the flip side of it is you still need those we're sociable beings, we need social interactions. For a lot of people right now, especially if they don't have faith so much, they might really, really need those personal connections and be feeling like completely cut off from the world. So knowing there's groups popping up all over, the stand in the park is in the UK a big thing. Just people who refuse to do the 6 feet thing, go to a park, sit down, listen to some music and cook out. It's like simple pleasures.
Yeah.
It's free and everyone's welcome.
That's so awesome. So that's what we're going to do. We're doing Family Day on the 24th at Baker Park. Saturday, Maple Plain, 11 a.m. I'll have some of that in the show notes as well. And then we're going to do another, our last adult evening was sparsely attended, so we're going to go back to the same place because we very much enjoyed it. The Luce Brewing, 7 p.m. Plymouth.
Cool.
And we'll do that. And I'm excited to have some new people come. I've been messaging some people that are excited about coming as well. And then Bill and I are going to see Louis C.K. this week, too. So that's really exciting. I want to kind of test out how the mask thing goes with... it's a smaller venue. It's not like a big stadium. It's Acme Comedy. So it's pretty small. But, and then also we'll review the comedy from the Me Too man.
Yeah.
The Me Too man himself. Louis C.K. got, I don't know how many people know this, but he got wrapped up in the Me Too thing, right?
Yeah, I think he exposed himself to a lady who works in a hotel. We call them chambermaids. It sounds barbaric. Now I live in America. I don't know what you call it. A housemaid.
Yeah. What are they? Just the cleaning staff or whatever.
He just exposed himself to her, allegedly. Who knows? I don't trust any of it. Really?
Well, okay.
If it's mainstream, I question it.
So if there's a story that somebody raped someone, somebody molested someone, I get ruin their career, get them off the stage, pull the mic, everything. That's whatever.
Don't make them role models,
right? But somebody would just, I don't know. So he exposed himself to a couple of women. He didn't hold anybody down. They were able to leave, right? I'd be like, creep, and go get help. It wasn't like they were permanently damaged.
I know there's definitely two schools of thought for sure. It seemed if it happened like that, if it went down like that, it was definitely a poor decision.
But don't be his fan if you don't want to be. I was his fan beforehand. I felt a little bit oh God, do I have to stop being a Louis C.K. fan? And after thinking about it for a number of years, I'm like, I haven't heard any story where he held anyone down, held anyone against their will.
I would definitely still watch Louis C.K. because I think the world's funny. A stage, and I think it's all theatrics.
Yeah.
So I don't know what's what, but I will say he is funny, and he did a TV program just Louis with his kids, and I just thought that was gold. It was just absolutely, it was very good. Yeah. So no, I'm not put off by him, but I think all celebrities are a bit odd. Yeah. And his humour reflects what he did as well, right?
Yeah.
He's crude, and maybe he is the things he jokes about.
Yeah.
Is it still funny?
when the comedians went back to his house or whatever, that was the other story. The female comedians that went to his house, and he was like, "I'm going to expose myself," and they were like, they thought it was a joke.
Which you would at first.
Maybe. Yeah. And it wasn't a joke, and then they were very hurt, and they wanted to leave comedy and everything, and it's you were able to leave. It can't ruin comedy.
I feel like if you're going to be a comedian, you have to be pretty thick-skinned.
Yes.
If him exposing himself is the reason you need to leave comedy, I'd say you're going to have to struggle. You're going to struggle in that career.
Right.
We can't all be kind to comedians.
And he told you, he warned you. That was, so that was one of the other stories that I had heard or something like that.
Who knows? Go check it out for yourself. I always say this. It's all about your own experience.
We'll give the mask update. We'll give the 6 feet update, however they dealt with us, and then we'll give the comedy update. And hope to see you at one of the events.
Yeah,
reach out to me. You're going to be at maybe one of the next ones.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Are you thinking the Luce Brewing?
Yes, I would. I'd like to.
Yeah.
I'm really. When I first moved to America, I wasn't really into the craft beer movement. Mm-hmm. I was a simple man. I just liked the simple lager. But now I like it. Infuse it with blood orange and oysters, please. So I like a new brewery.
That's awesome. And then at some point, I've heard Austin Witsit Gets It guy from Globebusters is going to be coming to Minnesota and do his. He gets on a loudspeaker and just starts going at it. So I'm definitely going to go see him when he comes here. I'll let you know when he's coming. I don't know yet, and
okay, cool.
That'll be a future update. So I think we can wrap it up, and just so grateful for you to come on and spend the time today. And we did it in a relaxing way, and just spent the day talking about it and getting set up and putting pictures together. And
we just moved the conversation to the mic, didn't we? Yeah, no, it was good. It was lovely. Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and then we'll end with the second song.
Yes.
And you're going to do a little setup.
I will do. So I guess because of, obviously, I'm assuming copyright issues, you can't just pick any song, right? Yeah,
well, so I have some songs that I can pick from, but I actually really love to put something that nobody's heard before. So these songs are something that I wouldn't think any of the audience members have heard this before. I love original music. I love, and hopefully with the next episode I might have some more.
Because I think a lot there's like definitely a bit of a link I think between people that are creative and people that are maybe coming out the woodwork as you know, being open to the truth. And so so I think chances are you will come across a lot of musicians. But my brother's talking about him earlier, and he's you know, gone through all of this, and he's been writing music at times. And he was in Madrid, and I didn't pick this song as my first one, because the other one was kind of to keep everyone up, keep people going and get them all like fired up. This one here is like is a little bit more sleepy, and I asked him to send me some tracks, and he sent me this one, and he sent me this description, which I thought was brilliant. So I'll just read it out. But he said, "This is something I recorded in lockdown in Madrid, so kind of relevant to the time still. The file was called Rough Pretty, because it's a rough idea but kind of pretty. It's a bit sleepy sounding to me, so could be the Delta, like the new Indian variant, or the deep sleep state, Delta sleep." So I thought, wow, yeah, that's let's listen to that then. And I thought, yeah, that was good. That would be my second one. So yeah.
Perfect. He made that connection between Delta sleep and Delta variant.
Yeah, he kept it all very relevant. Yeah, he's a switched on cookie, my brother.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Much love.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening.
Thank you.